A centralized index of notable clips, headlines, and references being shared across the community, organized for quick browsing. Use it to spot patterns, pull links, and build your own research list. Qnotables.com. Browse the notables, verify the facts, stay informed. All reports can be found on Q Research or Qnotables.com. Notables do not equal endorsements. We are researchers who deal in open source information, reasoned argument, and dank memes. We do battle in the sphere of ideas and ideas only. We neither need nor condone the use of force in our work here.
From the Q Research Boards, May 23, 2026. Good morning. We begin with a major shakeup inside the national security structure. Tulsi Gabbard is stepping down as Director of National Intelligence effective June 30th. Gabbard cited her husband Abraham's rare bone cancer diagnosis as the reason for the resignation. President Trump praised her service, and Principal Deputy Director Aaron Lucas will take over as acting DNI. This puts new leadership at the top of America's intelligence community at a time when Iran, cyber threats, election security, and internal agency fights are all moving at once. That DNI story now intersects with another developing intelligence fight. Catherine Herridge's reporting points to strong indicators that the CIA was tracking members of Tulsi Gabbard's DNI team months ago. Senator Rand Paul amplified the reporting and tied it to whistleblower concerns. The story raises direct questions about internal monitoring, intelligence oversight, and whether agencies inside the federal government were watching the very team appointed to lead national intelligence. President Trump and Dan Scavino also added fuel to the online political fire with a series of short posts and clips. Trump posted "bye-bye." Scavino posted a FAFO message, referenced Nessun Dorma, "Let No One Sleep," and shared a short B-2 bomber video. Taken together, the posts pushed heavy speculation across online political communities, especially with the DNI resignation and Iran pressure moving at the same time. Economy and domestic politics. The second major story is economic power. Kevin Warsh has been sworn in as the new chairman of the Federal Reserve. President Trump introduced Warsh at the White House, and Justice Clarence Thomas administered the oath. Warsh said he plans to lead a reform-oriented Federal Reserve while maintaining integrity and performance. This places a Trump-selected Fed chair at the center of interest rates, inflation policy, and the future direction of the American economy. During the same ceremony, President Trump also made comments about former Speaker Kevin McCarthy and former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. Trump called McCarthy a good guy and Rice highly respected. The event was officially about the Federal Reserve, but it also showed Trump using major appointments to reinforce alliances, signal stability, and frame the administration's economic leadership as serious and institutional. President Trump also traveled to Rockland Community College in Suffern, New York, where he delivered remarks on the economy. He promoted Republican tax policy, praised Congressman Mike Lawler's work on the SALT deduction cap, and tied the issue to affordability, taxes, crime, immigration, and voter ID. The event doubled as both an economic message and a political boost in a competitive New York House district. California Governor Gavin Newsom is now telling drivers to avoid Chevron stations over Memorial Day weekend. Newsom's office argues that Chevron prices are higher than other fuel options meeting the same standards. Chevron counters that California's energy policies are helping drive those prices higher. The fight puts gas prices, regulation, oil company profits, and consumer costs back into the political spotlight. The pro-AI Super PAC Leading the Future is expanding its endorsements in Republican House primaries. The group is backing candidates it sees as friendly to artificial intelligence development and lighter regulation. With major spending planned for the 2026 midterms, AI policy is becoming a serious campaign money issue, and the technology sector is moving deeper into congressional politics. CBS News Radio has signed off after nearly 100 years of broadcasting. Its final broadcast closed a long chapter in American media history. CBS News Radio covered major events from World War II through 9/11 and beyond. Its shutdown marks another major shift away from legacy broadcast news and toward digital platforms, podcasts, live streams, and independent media. Election integrity and lawfare. The White House is pushing the Save America Act, arguing that voter ID and proof of citizenship should be treated as basic election protections. The proposal would direct states to remove non-citizens from voter rolls and strengthen registration requirements. Election integrity is now moving back to the center of the 2026 political fight, with citizenship verification and voter roll maintenance leading the debate. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass is drawing attention over comments connected to non-citizen voting. The issue places Los Angeles into the larger national fight over election rules, citizenship, and local voting rights. With the Save America Act being pushed from the White House, Bass's comments are being treated as part of a broader battle over who gets to vote and how voter eligibility is verified.
At shop.isawaya.com, everything you buy supports Acun.top, the place where people talk freely no matter what. Check out our Acun Honey Pot, a jar of yummy honey that's as strong as your voice. Put it on toaster and tea. It's not just honey, it's freedom in every bite. Then there's Acun Butter, a smooth handmade skin cream that makes you feel good while you fight for what's right. Awesome wood and pieces for display only. Hang them up or set them out. They're for showing off Acun's tough spirit. Want to help even more? Get a proto membership. So go to shop.isawaya.com now and grab some goodies. Help Acun.top keep free speech alive, and let's keep the ideas flowing loud and free.
All reports can be found on Q Research or Qnotables.com. Notables do not equal endorsements. We are researchers who deal in open source information, reasoned argument, and dank memes. We do battle in the sphere of ideas and ideas only. We neither need nor condone the use of force in our work here.
From the Q Research Boards, May 23, 2026 South Carolina lawmakers have blocked a push to quickly redraw congressional maps. The move affected efforts involving the state's only Democratic-held congressional district, represented by Jim Clyburn. The state Senate debated the redistricting proposal, but the fast-track effort failed. South Carolina now remains part of the larger national battle over House control, district lines, and midterm election strategy. Former FBI Director James Comey is asking the court for more time in his federal case. His attorneys say they need additional time to review evidence and prepare multiple constitutional motions seeking dismissal of the indictment. The proposed schedule would push major proceedings into October 2026. That keeps one of the highest profile cases involving a former senior FBI official alive, heading straight into the election season. House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan is demanding documents from the Southern Poverty Law Center related to alleged payments to sources and possible coordination with federal officials. The request follows an indictment accusing the SPLC of financial crimes, including wire fraud and money laundering conspiracy. Jordan's investigation puts the SPLC under congressional scrutiny and raises serious questions about nonprofit influence, political labeling, and government-adjacent operations. The Justice Department has moved in the D.C. Circuit to undo convictions tied to Proud Boys and Oath Keepers defendants from January 6th. The request focuses on seditious conspiracy and related convictions, even though several defendants had already received clemency. The move marks a major shift in how the federal government is handling January 6th cases under the Trump administration. House Oversight Chairman James Comer has opened an investigation into possible insider trading on prediction market platforms Kalshi and Polymarket. Comer is asking whether people with access to non-public government information are using that information to profit from bets on political and military events. The probe could lead to new restrictions on government employees and prediction markets. A proposed anti-boycott measure tied to Israel is drawing major free speech concerns because penalties could reach up to 20 years in prison and a $1 million fine. Supporters frame the legislation as a response to international boycott campaigns. Opponents argue it collides with the First Amendment. The debate puts Israel policy, trade law, and constitutional rights on a direct collision course. International conflict and national security. Iran remains one of the biggest international stories. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is warning Tehran that it must abandon nuclear weapons ambitions, missile production, and drone programs. Rubio has also addressed threats involving the Strait of Hormuz, making clear that disruption there is unacceptable. Washington's message is direct. Iran's pressure campaign is being met with hard lines from the Trump administration. Reports circulating in the Notables say Ivanka Trump was targeted in an assassination plot linked to an IRGC terrorist seeking revenge for the killing of Qasem Soleimani. Any threat against a president's family immediately becomes a national security matter. The story also connects directly to the larger Iran pressure campaign and the continuing fallout from U.S. action against Soleimani. New Jersey congressional candidate Dr. Adam Hamawi is facing renewed scrutiny over his past connection to Omar Abdelrahman, the convicted terrorist known as the Blind Sheikh. Reports say Hamawi provided translation and appeared as a defense witness decades ago. Hamawi has defended himself against the criticism, but the issue is now part of the 12th District congressional race and raises national security questions inside a congressional campaign. Russia has requested an emergency United Nations Security Council meeting after a deadly strike on a vocational school in Russian-occupied Luhansk. Moscow called the attack a monstrous crime. Ukraine says it targets military assets, not civilians. The incident adds another layer to the war and keeps Ukraine, Russia, and the United Nations locked in a high-stakes information and military battle. Hunter Biden is now claiming that Israeli-linked figures were behind major corruption allegations involving him and Joe Biden. In an interview with Candace Owens, Hunter pointed to figures including Alexander Smirnov and Gal Luft. The accusation brings Israeli intelligence, Biden family corruption claims, and foreign influence narratives into the same political fight. Keystone Infra is positioning itself as a major infrastructure player in Israel, focusing on energy, transportation, telecommunications, and data centers. The company is promoting a strategy built around long-term assets and high-demand sectors. Infrastructure investment is increasingly tied to national security, energy reliability, regional economic power, and control over strategic systems. The legal and political fight over President Trump's White House ballroom project is drawing new attention to underground security construction. Court reporting indicates that work tied to a bunker or military security complex has been treated differently from the ballroom itself. The case has opened a rare public window into what is being built under the executive complex and how security construction is being handled.
Every voice matters. The power of free speech is more important than ever. Imagine a place where you can share your thoughts freely, explore new ideas, and engage in meaningful conversations anonymously. With online anonymity, you can express yourself without fear of judgment. It's about freedom, creativity, and connection. Join the conversation that matters. Embrace your voice. Celebrate your freedom. Visit 8kun.top today. That's 8kun.top.
All reports can be found on Q Research or Qnotables.com. Notables do not equal endorsements. We are researchers who deal in open source information, reasoned argument, and dank memes. We do battle in the sphere of ideas and ideas only. We neither need nor condone the use of force in our work here.
From the Q Research Boards, May 23, 2026, Crime and Corruption. The Justice Department says 2 defense contractors have been arrested in a bribery and major fraud conspiracy involving Department of War technology innovation contracts. The defendants are accused of corrupting the competitive procurement process for a technology innovation lab in the Pacific. The charges include bribery, major fraud against the United States, wire fraud, and conspiracy. A former CDC supervisor has pleaded guilty to stealing more than $190,000 in government funds. Prosecutors say Gwendolyn Brandon submitted fake invoices to the CDC and exploited her position of public trust. She admitted to theft of government funds and is scheduled to be sentenced later this year. Federal prosecutors have charged individuals in Minnesota in a massive fraud case involving false autism treatment claims. Authorities say parents were paid kickbacks to enroll children in bogus services, allowing operators to bill Medicaid and state benefit programs. The autism-related scheme is part of a broader Minnesota fraud crackdown involving tens of millions of taxpayer dollars. Former Detroit area doctor Lincoln Erickson has pleaded guilty to a federal child pornography charge. Prosecutors say disturbing evidence was found on his phone, and the case included allegations involving child exploitation fantasies and attempts to access minors. Erickson remains in federal custody and is scheduled for sentencing in September. Evacuation orders have been reissued in Garden Grove, California, after a dangerous chemical leak at an aerospace facility. Officials say a storage tank containing methyl methacrylate could either spill or explode, creating a serious public safety threat. Thousands of residents have been told to leave the area while emergency crews work to contain the situation. Tech and cyber. America's cybersecurity agency is facing embarrassment after a contractor reportedly left sensitive credentials exposed in a public GitHub repository. Reports say the exposed material included plaintext passwords, cloud keys, and internal documentation tied to CISA systems. A security researcher discovered the leak and alerted authorities. CISA says it has no evidence of misuse so far, but the exposure raises serious operational security questions. Retired Admiral Michael S. Rogers, former director of the National Security Agency and former commander of U.S. Cyber Command, has joined Surefire Cyber as a strategic advisor. The company says Rogers will help guide work at the intersection of cybersecurity, insurance, and AI-driven risk management. His move shows how former national security leaders are increasingly entering the private cyber defense space. A claim is circulating that a massive Japanese study shows excess deaths clustered in the vaccinated group after repeated mRNA vaccination. The underlying research has drawn major attention because it deals with mortality patterns, vaccination status, and population-level health outcomes. The story is now part of the larger public debate over vaccine safety data, excess deaths, and whether governments fully disclose the long-term risk picture. Closing segment. Richard Childress Racing says the number 8 car associated with Kyle Busch will be set aside for possible future use by his 11-year-old son, Brexton. Reports say the decision follows Busch's sudden death at age 41 and is meant to honor his NASCAR legacy. In the meantime, the team will field a different number as the racing world responds to the loss. That is the shape of the board this morning. A DNI resignation at the top of the intelligence structure, a new Federal Reserve chair taking control of America's monetary policy, Iran pressure building, election integrity fights intensifying, corruption cases expanding, cyber failures surfacing, and legacy media continuing to fade. The through line is power, who holds it, who abuses it, who exposes it, and who answers for it.
Don'tDeleteMeBro.com. 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 Share the site with others. Don'tDeleteMeBro.com. 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 Share the site with others. Don'tDeleteMeBro.com.
That's all for now. Stay alert, stay informed, and never hand your thinking over to anyone on a screen, including me. God bless you, God bless our troops, and God bless the United States of America. See you soon.